Hi, everyone. Happy Sunday. Happy Soothing Sundays. Welcome to Soothing Sundays. I'll wait a little bit for people to come in and why I do. Soothing Sundays, we just like recalibrate for the week. It's like a little antidote to the Sunday scaries. And if you have any questions or want to vent or want advice or tips related to mental health and psychology about anything. And then I also go over any DMs or questions I got in my DMs or comments on my videos throughout the week. Because if people are, you guys ask such good questions, but I always know that when someone's asking, that there's at least 10 more people that want to know. And I often get the same question, like there's just something going on, like within a week. Like there'll be a theme of the week for whatever reason. I don't bring it up, but people will be like, "Oh, I want to know about this." And I can feel like that spring, because spring, like the weather's getting better and people are thinking about moving around and they're getting ready for summer. So I have been getting a lot of questions about what do I do with this part of myself that like I want to do this, but like my inner critic's holding me back. So I want to talk about both of those things. Um, because I really believe, and I talk about this in some of my, why is it blurry? There we go. I talk about this in a lot of my content that I know, like, whatever's in your heart, you're meant to do that. And yes, we have things that hold us back, procrastination, our own inner critic getting in the way, other people that are toxic, putting us down and telling us to not, elevate, level up because that's threatening to them. There's a lot of things that hold us back from what we're supposed to be doing, what's in our heart to do. And so I'm here to tell you that, like, you are supposed to be doing that. And for whatever reason, like the spring really brings that out in people. People really want to get going on their new, there's a reason that in most cultures and spiritual practices, the spring is like the actual new year because it's about renewal and, new beginnings and rebirth. So we're going to talk about both of those things. Actually, let me pull that up. And so the neurological reprogramming tool that we're going to focus on is inner child work today because it's such a fast way to reprogram your brain, or rewire your brain, especially if you've been struggling with something for so long and you're so frustrated or you have this pattern. It's like, oh, I know I want to be here, but I'm here. I want this type of relationship, but I always have this pattern. Financially, I want to be here, but I'm here, and I know I'm supposed to be here. So that's what inner child work does. It really lifts, like it uproots whatever is holding you back and will like alleviate that. So you don't have all of these old patterns and things that you might not even be conscious of that are holding you back from like having whatever it is that you want in your life, your ultimate wealth, health, relationships, career. You get really unstuck when you can do some inner child work. It can be intimidating at first, but it is so worth it. Some people like dive right into it. They're like, yeah. And then some people are like, I don't know about that. But I'm telling you, it's okay to feel kind of intimidated by it and it feel kind of scary, because those parts of you have been hidden and, been told to like shut down. So we'll start with the inner child work. I'm just bringing up the other questions that you guys had from the week, but we're going to start with the inner child work because it's such a good neurological reprogramming tool, and start to implement it like as much as you can. If you have a daily journaling practice, like do this every day. Hello, Rohit from India. Nice to see you. Um, so do this every day, but after a while, you can just start talking to your inner children, like in your car or whatever. They're inside you. They're a part of you. They're part of your psyche. They're a part of your consciousness. So once you're aware of them, they don't unconsciously control you. So what you're going to do, and this is also called family systems in psychology, but it's also known as inner child work, but they're the same thing. So we have these parts of us, like you have a 4-year-old version of you, you have an 8-year-old, you have like all these different from when you were a child, and then your teenage years, and then in your 20s, like however old you are, you have all of those phases, all those people within you. And so we have these different negative beliefs that are showing up, or like negative patterns, excuse me, that are showing up in our life. Hi, Rebecca. And we're like, oh, why am I stuck? Why am I stuck? And so if you could ask one of your inner children, like, hey, like let's say it's about not having the love that you want. You could ask one of your children, your inner children, and just you have to kind of explore and find out, like, is it my 8-year-old that started to feel shut down or started to feel like she wasn't worthy or was told that, she has to earn love or he has to perform and do all of these things to get a little bit of love? Or if it's around money, is this connected to my worthiness? Like, oh, did someone tell you you're not capable or you're not talented? Or always put you down, or always say like, oh, you need to do more. You got this grade, you should have gotten this grade. Well, you got an A plus, you should have got an A plus plus. Like it was never enough. You had those type of parents. So that could really affect your worthiness and how much you're able to receive financially. And this is all unconscious. You just know in your adult life, hey, I want to be making more money and I can't, and I'm really talented. And it's because there's an inner child or inner teenager that feels unworthy or incapable or was told that they're not talented or capable enough. So if you could just talk to that version of yourself, and it might be a few versions of yourself, and you could start by writing to them or like having a conversation via writing, like in your journal, or you could just actually write a letter to them and be like, hey, like what false belief, like what are you believing that's not true? Like who told you that? And just talk to them and kind of interview them. And then after that, you want to tell them, well, you know what? It's 2026 or whenever you're seeing this, and say, you know what? That's actually not true. You're very capable and you get to be loved just for being you, or whatever the inner child is feeling that they lack. You're going to say, you know what? You are so right. And you get to completely have all the love and all of the support and be um, financially compensated for that now in your adult life. So you're just filling in those gaps. And it's not just a one-time thing. The more you do it. So, and again, I just said this in a post, but like I have a few clients that they're like, hell to the no, I am not doing that. They'll literally have like a nervous system thing, or they're like, that sounds so corny, I'm not doing that. And then they finally do it, and it's like, and it just opened up it like completely, like that pattern and that behavior and that thought. They're like, I don't even think like that anymore. Like it literally just went away. And that's what I mean. You can really reprogram that so fast because you're giving yourself that love that was missing. And it's a really powerful way to understand how love can heal anything. Let's see. Excuse me, can you help my mom with her? Please talk to her and make her feel better. Rebecca. Okay. Hello. I'm a cross between J-Lo and Kim K. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to delete some of these comments. Hi, Peter. Good to see you. So again, for those of you who are new, I'm Lauren. I'm a therapist and a mental health practitioner. I also do executive coaching, and I go live twice a week, and I just provide like a safe container for you guys to talk about things and to share neurological reprogramming techniques with you. And if you're on here making fucking stupid comments, like I'll ban you from my channel. Like I'm super sweet, but like if you fuck with me, like I'm just gonna not be like, because I really respect you guys and I really want to help like as many people as I can. Like I'm gonna post this like as soon as this live stream is done, it's just gonna be up there. And I'm just doing this to my goal, and like my mission and my intention is to help as many people as I can. So don't like be in here trying to spam my shit, because you will be voted off the island for fucking ever. That's it I have to say. Namaste. Love you. Okay, Peter. What's up, Peter? Hi, Lauren. Sharing a couple of wins. Yes. Started to journal. Said no to someone I typically say yes to. Hell yeah. Felt uncomfortable, but I did it. I love that. It's okay if it feels uncomfortable. You're creating a new neural pathway, and it's uncomfortable momentarily to have a boundary, because your nervous system, if you're not used to that and you've been told like, everyone, you're just a doormat and everyone walks on you. And if you're not a doormat for everyone, then you'll be abandoned. So when you start to set boundaries, your nervous system will be like, oh my God, is it okay? Am I going to get abandoned? And you just have to breathe through that and be like, okay, I'm uncomfortable right now, but I'm taking care of me, and I'm putting myself first, just like Peter is saying. So you did it. It felt uncomfortable, but you did it. So proud of you, Peter. Inner child work I should learn on. So looking forward to discuss. Yes. So, yeah, I can talk more about it, but, like, you wanna meet all of these people are inside of you. Like, it's called family systems because you have a whole family that's inside of you, and it's the younger versions of you from 1 years old to all the way till now. But when we do inner child work, we focus on when you were a kid and a teenager because your brain was literally being developed. Actually, your brain doesn't fully develop till you're about 30, but there's a lot of things that get impressed upon your brain and your belief system and in your nervous system when you're a child and a teenager. So we want to be aware of that. And when I first learned that, I felt like such a victim. I felt like really sad because I know what my childhood was like, and it made sense to me at the same time. So, and I'm saying that because if all of a sudden you feel very like victimized, like that's okay, but like let's not stay in that space. Let's give ourselves a lot of love. And another part of family systems work is like having the two parents that you've always wanted, and and they give you all the love and support and say all the, affirmations that you needed to you in your adult version, and you are giving those things, you're reparenting your inner child. So let's say your inner 10-year-old got rejected because or felt very rejected because you got a B on a test instead of A plus, and so you started to feel very incapable and inferior if you weren't perfect all the time. And so you want to go back and be aware, like let your inner 10-year-old tell you that story of what happened and how it made her or him feel terrible. And it's like I can't make like one little mistake and I still get, criticized, or I'm very afraid to make a mistake. So you talk to that version, that 10-year-old version of you, and say, you know what? It's okay if you're not perfect all the time. You could get a B on a test. You can do this or that, whatever it is, and you are still loved. I'll still be here. You're not going to get abandoned if you're not perfect. And it could be the same thing if you have like with relationships and love. It could be with anything. So I did a really powerful thing with one client that realized that she could only be loved if she was sick. It's kind of like Munchausen's a little bit, like, but not to that extent. But like when she was either sick or like something like emotionally hard for her was going on, like then her parents, especially one of them, could really like, oh, I love you. And so she didn't know it at the time, but she realized later in life there was like this damsel in distress thing showing up that she was just like, oh, I don't like being like this anymore. I don't like it. It's like annoying and frustrating. And so we did some inner child work around it, and she was like, holy fucking shit. She's like, I only felt like loved and like things were only calm when I was either physically sick or like, if someone at school bullied me and I was like, or I was like emotionally upset about something, if I was like in this like weaker position, is what she called it, then my parents would love me or calm down or there wouldn't be abuse. And connecting that's a big deal. So then she talked to those inner children and it was like, you are loved no matter what. You can shine, you can thrive, you can be the best version of yourself, and you'll be completely loved, whatever you're going through. So a lot of these things, like we're not even aware of. So it brings awareness to it, and it just really kind of uproots it really fast. As you know, I'm not a big proponent of like being in therapy for years talking about the same shit. I've had clients that have been with me for a decade or over a decade, or years. I have had clients, but we're like, I'm always like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. Look what I met you. Look where we are now. And like, I always tell my clients, and like all of you, if you're here now or you're listening to this later, I want your problems to get better. Whatever your problems are, I want you to heal them. And I want you to be like stressing over like what color your yacht is going to be or whatever, like like the whatever, like a champagne problem is what, because we're always evolving and challenges will come up. We're just facing different challenges, and we're responding to our challenges in the world differently, not from a survival place but from a thriving place. um let's see. The expansionist, hi, onward, upward. Of course, yes. That's what it's all about. Hi, expansionist. Um, the Monkman, yes. Very much true, and it's all about understanding and support each other's needs for understanding. Yes, and we have to provide that support for ourselves. Sometimes people get so triggered when I say that, and I'm like, "You can't like, if you always are depending on some, like, exogenous, like, another person, but if you can have that within yourself and whatever type of, like, higher power that you have, because, like, God, source, whatever you call it, because that is actually part of you. It's like running God consciousness is always running through you, and you know that you have that support. Like you can trust yourself, and you are your number one fan, and you're always reparenting yourself and loving yourself. And then like all these other forms of support just come in because you're radiating that from within, and that's one of your core beliefs. So of course it comes from the outside, but it's not like this whole like I need you to act this way and support me in this way. It's a different energy. It's not a chasing survival desperate energy. It's like I'm thriving, I'm supporting myself, like I support myself like emotionally in every way. God does too, and everything I need, the circumstances, the resources, the friends, it all just because I don't have that block. I don't have that like scarcity block around things, and a lot of us have scarcity blocks around things that we are not even aware of. But you know that they exist because your bank account doesn't look how you want it to, or your health, or your relationships. So if that is there, no need to judge it. No need to, it's just like, oh, I could upgrade my belief system around um, abundance or prosperity or what I'm allow into my life, right? Because like even the word like overwhelm doesn't really exist. It's like your capacity to hold. Like, can you expand your capacity to hold wealth, love, and like look into that. That's why I'm saying ask your inner children why they don't feel like it's safe to be loved the way you want to be loved in your adult life. Have the money right now that you want to in your adult life. Like who has which one of your inner children have a false belief around something because in your adult life you're ready to get rid of it. Okay, Peter, question. When you are in process of working on yourself, how do you manage people who are close to you who might not have been a major contributor for a lot of emotional triggers? I'm not handling it well right now. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, but you're saying that you're working through stuff is coming up, and so people that don't know you, um, who might not have been major contributor a lot of your emotion like, so people that don't know you well are like, "Dude, what's wrong? Like, what the fuck is wrong?" So, if that is the case, then you could tell them, "I'm going through some shit right now. I'm processing a lot of shit. Thank you for your patience." Or you don't have to share that side of you with them. That's the other thing too. So, you can process your stuff, metabolize, like, do the work, do the inner work, cry, whatever it is, talk to people that are close to you that deserve to see that side of you and that you feel safe showing that side to. And then people that don't know you as well, you don't need to talk to them about it. Is that what I just want to clarify that. Um, and then your next question is when you are in process of working on yourself, how do you manage people who are close to you? Oh, it's kinda the same question. Who might have been okay, so not have wait, maybe I read it wrong, I'm sorry. So so how do you handle people that have been emotional triggers to you? So, yeah, that's what this is all about, right? So, these people that have been emotional triggers to you, there's 2 roads. There are 2 possibilities. First, you need to do the inner work before we go to either one of the roads. First, you get to do the inner work and process these things. And it's not like, "I've done the inner work, now it's done." You'll probably be always doing it. But as you are healing and working through these things, these people that have been major contributors to your emotional triggers, yeah, you're gonna okay. Yeah, my family. Yes, I understand. Peter, I completely understand your family being major contributors to like your emotional triggers and trauma. Okay, yes, that makes complete sense. So when that is the case, there are only 2 options really. So you're doing the work, and when we do the work, we take responsibility for everything. So this isn't like I'm blaming you for these things. So, and this is really hard with like parental stuff because most parents, and like if we are dealing with a narcissistic abuse, it's probably because we have, like, if you're married to a narcissist or you've had, a pattern of narcissistic relationships, you're maybe one or both of your parents have narcissism or they're narcissistic personality disorder, or any type of personality disorder. So in that case, getting them to take responsibility or even have a conversation about anything, it's not going to it's probably not going to happen. Or some of them are kind of sneaky and they're like, "Oh, yeah, yeah." And then they flip around and use it against you, or they just like flip out at something. So be prepared for that. And I want you to know that if that happens, it's it's really you if you've really done your part and you're really trying to talk to them and be like, "Hey, I'm doing this inner work and this is what's coming up for me," and they get triggered as fuck and they'll probably walk out, they'll probably try to gaslight or turn everything around on you. That's on them. You're doing your work, but there is a grieving process that goes along with the fact that, like, hey, I actually never had the mom or the dad that I needed in my childhood to feel safe, to get my emotional and maybe even physical needs met, to feel safe in every way. I never got that. And so you in your adult life have to grieve that, and not go to them, not be like, "Why didn't you do this?" And I've made that mistake before. I'm like, "How?" Like, I literally, my brain did not, it could not compute. Like, how could you do this to a child? Like, I'm just a child. Like, and so but you on your own have to grieve that, because if you have toxic family members that are not willing to take responsibility for their side, then they're not going to take responsibility for your side. So that's when you turn to your support system, and new people that are actually loving and supportive will start to come into your life when you are doing the work and working on yourself. You'll just stop attracting the toxicity and you'll start attracting people that are actually loving and supportive and peaceful. Um, so yeah, so and the other thing is like, hey, you could be like, I need to talk to, or like, I am going through this and these things happen to me, and it could actually be healing. Like if the family members that you have emotional triggers with are open to talking about things, it could be healing. Not that you can agree on everything, but it can be healing. But it's one of the two. I've seen in my private practice, and just like how personalities work, and and in my own life. And I mean, that's just how it works. So you're either going to be, having to do the grieving process around toxic people who refuse to take responsibility for their actions, or you can mend some relationships. And both of those things are an ongoing process. It's not just like a one and done type of thing. So, but Peter, from what you've told me, I'm assuming, I don't know, I could be wrong, but that you might have some people in your life that, in your family in this case, that don't like taking responsibility for their behavior. And if that's the case, just know that you did your part and that has nothing to do with you or your worthiness. And it's not your fault that they don't want to take responsibility for themselves. Um, one of my narcissistic parents was like, "Oh yeah, it's your fault that I did X, Y." And I'm like, "How could that be my fault?" I mean, it's like, it could be that insane. So, and that's just common with narcissistic parents. It's like, "Oh, when you were 8 and I did that thing, that was your fault." I really? Okay. Um, and it can be infuriating. So, but I'm just saying to release that and know that that's not the case. And and this is also a time when you have to be so loving towards yourself. That's why I'm so happy that you're doing this work, because it really will heal those wounds. I comment to make you angry. Sorry I'm late. Was I'm here was can start now. Okay. Okay. Am I allowed to start now that you're here? I comment to make you angry. Thank you. Nice to see you guys. Um, yeah, Peter, let me know if you have any questions about that. And then what was the other question that I had? Why can't I find? Oh, yes. When this thing about, well, let me see what Peter says first, and then I'll do this other one. I understand that my parents did what they did, but want to move forward and not assigning blame. Yeah, we don't want to assign blame. That's the one thing that I see a lot, and it's like your nervous system just wants to be like, "Oh my god, take responsibility." It's not like you're trying to, like, blame like a narcissist would, where they just try to blame to not take responsibility. You just want people to take responsibility because your nervous system, again, like one of your inner children just wants to be loved. That's what is behind that, but you might not be able to get it from there, from the person. They don't know any better, however. It's hard for me to look away since they are my parents. They're really old. Um, what do you mean it's hard for you to look away? Does that mean you stay in contact with them? Does that mean, and again, you don't need to assign blame, and but you can also, like, protect your peace and protect your boundaries. I don't care how old or young someone, I mean, like, if they're super young, but I mean as an adult, like, as a fully, functioning adult where your brain is completely, like, working and everything, you get to take responsibility for your behavior. If you have some cognitive stuff going on, okay, that's different. But like this whole victim thing, and like every time I talk about, not every time, but sometimes I talk about taking responsibility for your behavior and I get accused of victim blaming. I'm like, are we just going to call ourselves victims all day and not, no. I mean, at some point we have unhealed trauma, and our relationships will reflect that back to us. We'll keep attracting the same toxic shit until we heal that. And it's not victim blaming. It's just like, hey, let's take responsibility for our life so we can have the best life ever, and keep evolving. So, yeah. And so the other, like I was saying at the beginning of this live stream, people are like, okay, I am ready. This is, I am doing this thing. And it could be like, I am starting a YouTube channel. I am starting that business or side hustle. Brah, I'm ready to go. And then the first challenge that comes up, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to put it off a day, or you go from like, I am doing something towards it every day, like I always recommend, because you're training your brain to like associate you with this new thing. Like, okay, I'm a business owner and I have this side hustle, whatever it is. So if you skip a day or start procrastinating or hold yourself back in some way, it's your inner critic, which is the amygdala part of your brain, the fear-based part of your brain's like, no, 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 no changing, no changing. And then the prefrontal cortex is like, let's go. So when we do things that are challenging, our brain literally grows and those neural connections grow. Now, what's really important is the prefrontal cortex gets to be the leader and is like, no, yeah, it could be uncomfortable, but we're doing it anyway. So it kind of makes fear its bitch. And it's like, no, sit down. We're not letting fear control our lives. We're not one of these NPCs that just lets fear control our lives. So the prefrontal cortex gets stronger. And we want that to be strong in like our everyday activities, because then we're coming from a place of like confidence and courage. And it's like, okay, I might not have all the answers, but I'm going to keep going, not in an arrogant way, but in a way where we're just like diligently working towards our goals, and we don't let any type of fear-based thing stop us, whether it's like actual people telling us something that we don't need to hear, or it's our inner critic, or if it's a circumstance, anything that you do, like especially like entrepreneur, but actually anything that you were like, yeah, I want to do this, you're going to have challenges. And some of those challenges are going to feel so frustrating. Trust me, I know, but you will get through them. And you'll be so proud of yourself. That's the other thing. You get these really nice dopamine hits, these like reward system flares that are just like healthy reward system flares that you get from doing hard things. And then that hard thing doesn't become difficult, um, which is my favorite part. I love that. I love when someone's like, okay, I've been wanting to do this thing. Like I have clients that just, want to do on something entrepreneurial, or I train a lot of coaches to become coaches, right? And they're like, oh, that's so scary. And they're just like, boom, boom, boom. They're all over social media. I freaking love it. And I'm like, remember when you were so scared of that, and now you're not. That's just so exciting. So that's the other question I got a lot this week. It's like, how do you stay out of your comfort zone and maintain that? And like some people are like straight up like, I don't trust myself to stay. That's why, okay, accountability buddies are good. Making a group, coming in here and celebrating your wins, and like just staying accountable in some type of way. Um Back to what Peter says, like ignore them while I'm healing, since Dealing with them seems to bring back unhealthy patterns or emotions, seems to impede my progress. Excellent question. This happens so much, Peter, to a lot of us when we are healing from toxic family dynamics, and then we interact with the origin of it, like our parents, and then we just get pulled right back in or triggered in the same way. And you could just say, I'm not available for this conversation anymore, and just stop responding to it. And they'll notice, because when you don't respond the same way anymore, then they'll respond differently. Because remember, these toxic people are addicted and kind of like thrive off of drama and negative responses, negative energy, as sad and as that sounds, even if it's towards or from their children. It's very common. So if you just decide, like, let's say you get a text that's very triggering, never respond to it. It's crickets, crickets. Or call them less. And then when they ask, why aren't you calling as much? Because toxic parents do this thing. It's like, why did you call me? You have to call me. And it's like, because I'm because calling, you don't even have to say that you're healing or working on yourself, because a lot of times toxic people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear anything about you getting better. And then they also feel threatened, especially if it's parents like, oh, okay, so it's all my fault. You're learning that everything's my fault. Well, yeah, I am. So you don't even have to say that, but you have to say, certain conversations, or when I call you, it's just getting really unhealthy for me. So I'm protecting my peace. That's all. And you don't owe anyone any type of other explanation. You don't have to go into JADE. So JADE stands for justify, argue, defend, explain, or even engage. So Jade, remember, like, because toxic people always want to pull you into Jade, but you do not have to justify, argue, defend, explain, or engage after you've made your, said your piece. And actually, no is a complete sentence. So no, I don't have to answer the phone, even though you've done it for decades and decades. It doesn't matter. I'm changing my mind about things. Every day is a new day. Every breath that you breathe, you start over again. So as of now, I'm not answering the phone every time. And I don't know if you take care of them or whatever. It's like, okay, if you need something, then fine. When I deal with people that have, like, they're co-parenting, it's like you are only responding to them in terms of logistics. I'll pick you up here. We'll do this. Like, and the toxic person will even try to fuck that up. Oh, you said 3. Well, I need it to be 4. Well, it's 3. It's 3 or this, And there's a whole other set of things I would say for parents, but for you, Peter, it's just, I want you to be as exciting as the color beige, and I want you to say, like, in one sentence, I'm just curtailing my communication. Like, these things aren't good for my mental or physical health. So, basically find new targets, because those type of people just want to trigger people anyway. And right now you're a good source for triggering people because you've allowed it so long, or you're a good source to be triggered, excuse me, because you've allowed it for so long. But if you tell them, yeah, you're just not available for it anymore, they'll flare up and, guilt and shame and all this stuff and try to pull you back in. But if you don't respond to any of that, they'll adjust. Excellent question. I'm glad you asked, because that just shows that you're unwilling to tolerate that type of behavior anymore and be a doormat in that way. Hi, Mike. Mike says, on a less serious note, the planned mayhem on your shelves is starting to grow on me. It's more functional art. It's more of a functional art piece now. Thanks again for your help one more time. You're welcome. The planned mayhem on your shelves. I don't know if it's planned mayhem. It is kind of mayhem, though. I haven't created long form content in a while, but I push them off to the side because it's kind of distracting. Or sometimes I blur it. It was blurred earlier, but I could blur it again. No, actually I won't, because I don't care. But yeah, how are you guys doing? Those are the 2 questions I had. If you missed the beginning, the neurological reprogramming tool for the week is to do inner child work, because it's so helpful. It's uncomfortable. It can be. And even sometimes when I do it, I like learn something new. I'm like, oh, okay, ow, but let me work with that. And but I'm telling you, it feels like you have these like huge light bulb moments of, like, in these waves of like revelation, and it also of like release and peace. It's like release of that toxic thing. And then when you've released it, it's like this peace comes over you and the sense of like love and joy that I haven't experienced before until I started doing this work. And I'm like, oh my God, I am so loved. I'm so whole and complete. And all of those things that those people or whatever happened that was just completely like a lie that was projected on me that shouldn't have been projected on any like little kid, but that's okay. I can release it. It's my job now to release it, you know? When whatever happened to you when you're a kid, you become an adult, and a major part of being an adult is just reparenting yourself. So, it's good to do. So if you missed that, like, go to the beginning, like, after this is, aired. I don't know if you could rewind it now, but anyway, and watch that because and that's just like the basic, but after that, like you just want to talk to your inner children on a regular basis. And when you are getting triggered in real time as an adult, ask one of your inner children who feels that way. If you feel like anxious about like being abandoned, okay, which one of you felt abandoned? Which one of you felt triggered by whatever? I promise you something is there. And especially if it's a long-standing thing. Like, I had this around my business, like, "Oh my god, I'm incapable." Which one of my inner children was told they're incapable and not, you know, worthy of having that or just not capable of it? Okay, well, that was projected onto me from, you know, insecure people that felt that way about themselves. So and I could just let that go and know that that's not a part of me. That is so liberating. Um So let me know if you guys have any other questions. I think like all the questions and comments I got this week fell under that. Like I kept telling people, you know, inner child work is really going to work on this or really going to bring this all to the surface and release it a lot faster than you think. And um the whole thing about like the inner critic is like in the amygdala, that fear-based thing, letting that weaken. And it's so important to we don't want to be we're not in these streets like we're not up here trying to be fear-based people. We because you know there are systems in place that want to control you through fear. And a lot of people like live from a fear-based place. They're activated and they're like living their life from a fear-based place and that is not you. It maybe it was in the past, but that's like survival energy and you're here to thrive. Like watching any of my content is because I want you to thrive. And so if you can recognize that like, oh, my fear, the amygdala fear-based part of me is being controlled right now. And it shows up as fear, scarcity, worry, any of like the lower vibrational, which is all like fear. It's all under there, like worry, any form of scarcity, any form of like abandonment. It's all under fear, some form of fear. So if that's coming up, it's kind of like, okay, let me look at this and let me go back and strengthen my prefrontal cortex by taking contrary action. So when I feel like procrastinating, when I feel like giving up, when I feel like listening to that negative comment or be like, ah, put it off a day, come, you know, I don't know, drink with us or whatever, instead of doing your thing, it's like, okay, maybe I don't let my inner critic slash my amygdala control me in this moment. It's just like those split second moments of like making different decisions. And again, if you want to take it a layer deeper, the inner child work is there. Okay. And besides that, how are you guys doing? I'm going to take a drink of water. I'm going to mute myself for a second so you don't hear me gulp. But if you guys have any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, we'll wrap up for this Soothing Sundays. Again, Peter says, again, my inner critic keeps scaring given my situation with my spouse and managing my parents, saying if I'm healthy means I'm going to be alone. I hold the inner critic being healthy is a priority. Well, here's the thing about that. When you start to heal, certain things, like if you're not available for toxic energy anymore, those people will go away, but they will be replaced by loving, supportive people. And that's ultimately what you want. Now, your inner critic can believe, like when you say you're alone, no, you won't be alone. You'll attract better people. And it'll be like, oh my God, I'm so glad that I left this toxicity behind. It'll be like a dream. Like you can't even believe like and you could just still love that version of yourself. Like that version of myself thought that they needed to tolerate that and that they would be alone, whatever that means, if you didn't tolerate that. I'm telling you, toxic people, like people with personality disorders, they love to try to threaten you and make you like flare up your abandonment wounds by saying you're going to be alone if you're to like, well, or you're never going to get anyone like me again. Fuck, I hope not. You know how many times I've said that to toxic people? So you're not going to be alone. You're just going to attract better, higher quality people. And that's what you want. So telling your inner critic, you don't even have to talk to your inner critic because your inner critic is always telling you lies, but talking to your inner children and telling them like, you know what, I'm here and I'm going to give you nothing but love and support. And I am not going to ever abandon you. So you can never be alone. And I'm never going to be alone. And by the way, I would also, Peter, maybe do a journal prompt about what's scary about being alone. Because when you reach a certain phase of healing, you are so, like, in a very healthy way, in love with yourself and in love with life, that this idea of like being alone is like an illusion. It's not like, oh, I'm alone and da, da, da. The loneliest place to be is in a toxic relationship with like a narcissist or anyone with a personality disorder. I'm telling you, that is the loneliest place to be ever. And so what do you mean? What lie is the inner critic trying to tell you about being alone? Because you can be like very happily single and it could be like the best, most fulfilling, most loving, supportive time of your life. Again, I tell this story often, and because now it's just funny to me, but like one of my exes was like this multi-billionaire, and if you forgot for a second, he would fucking remind you. But he was like super cheap. It wasn't like this anyway. So like we go all these places, you know, like billionaire type of things, right? Like all over the world and everything. And I've never been so miserable. I'm like, how is it possible for us to be like in the Maldives or wherever, all these places, and be so miserable? Because you make everything so miserable. Like it's just everything. It's just like energy is so heavy. And so like when I was breaking up with him, he's like, you're never going to find anyone like me and you're just going to be alone. And I'm like, I don't want to ever find anyone like you again. I will never allow myself to be treated like this. And there are a lot of like wealthy people, if that's what because I think he was referring to that. I'm like, I don't care about that. Like how I deserve to be treated is priceless. And I don't care about like this. And like, you know, it was good to like be able to say that. And I was able to like heal and evolve from that and like stand up for myself. And it's like, and then after that, I was like single for a long time. And I was just like, I love this. I love like, cause I got a chance to fall in love with myself and still do every day. I don't care like what your relationship status is. You should always be in love with yourself, like for real. Um, and that is something that is like this far out concept when you're healing from these abusive relationships, but I promise you, you will get there. The more, just keep working on yourself. Peter, just keep, and what I mean by working on yourself is continuing this healing process. Hi, Matthew Jordan. Hello. Agree. I'm in a place given the option of being in a toxic relationship versus being in exactly. Pick yourself. When you show up and you pick yourself a healthy relationship with yourself, you will attract healthy people. You will attract healthy circumstances. You will attract your healthy tribe. It is the most fulfilling and rewarding thing ever. I choose the latter. Excellent, Peter. Excellent. I love hearing that. I'm so happy to hear that and so proud of you. Yes, that is something to celebrate. That's a huge win to celebrate. All the wins are huge. Even when they feel small, they're huge wins because you're evolving towards a better situation. I kind of broke down when I spoke to my inner child. That happens. That's what I'm saying. You might break down, and if you do, that's a good thing. It's it's really, it's not difficult, it's just, you know, what's happening when you break down or cry, when you talk to your inner child, it's like these emotions that you didn't even know were there, that were so suppressed, they just start to release, they're like being metabolized out of you, and so they'll show up in the form of tears or sadness or anger, and you just emotions are energy emotions, so you just feel them and let them go, recognize them, because they were suppressed. You had parents that were kind of toxic that told you, "Hey, stop crying. Don't feel that. That's not true," or totally gaslit you. So, not pity, but how much this child needed to hear the most. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so now, Peter, that's such amazing work. And that's all what it's about is like, oh my God. Like I was just saying at the beginning, when I first started doing this inner child work for myself, I was like, I cannot like, and I did get upset with my parents, but like, um, I was just like, wow, there were so many like little simple things that I needed that I didn't get. So the wonderful thing is that you can give your inner children this now. And when you give your inner children this now, immediately are healing yourself. You immediately start to fulfill those things for yourself and you not even feel it in the moment. You're just taking care of this little version of you, right? But it does. It just you're healing that version of you and then the adult version of you. And it's just such powerful work. So excellent work. Excellent job, Peter. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Let me know if you have any other questions. I'll stay on for a couple more minutes. It's actually good because I was like feeling a little bit, I don't know if something's going around, but I took my little wellness supplement, so I'll be fine and I'll get to bed earlier. Um, but yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap up this session for Soothing Sundays. I'm so proud of you guys and do your inner child work this week. I cannot wait to hear about how it goes. Oh, and then this week, it's going to be Thursday. That is because I go live. If you're new here, I go live on Sundays for Soothing Sundays. We get the week off to a great start. And then I go midweek, either on Wednesday or Thursday. So this week, it's going to be on Thursday, which is April already. Oh my God, April 2nd. April 2nd. Once again, appreciate you giving the platform for me to share it. Oh, you're so welcome, Peter. This is why I do this. You are so welcome. I love being a part of your process, and thank you for sharing it with us. And also, it does something it helps heal your nervous system. You can heal a lot faster when you share it with people. That is the point of a huge part of doing therapy. You can keep talking to ChatGPT. I'm not like putting that down or anything. But like there is something to like sharing whatever you've journaled or whatever you've done with another person. So whether it's here, your friend, someone that's trained and actually good at what they do, like a therapist or coach that's actually knows what they're doing. Those things, that's why they expedite the healing process. If you're working with someone good, or if you're sharing it with someone that actually like loves you and cares about you and wants to see you win, that is the difference. That's why I say in a lot of videos, I freaking want to see you win. You can have we're always going to have challenges, but your challenges just get to be more fun and bougie. Okay. Right. That's what I'm going to hear about from you guys. No more cap. People keep telling me maybe I'm not tough enough whenever I vent about how hard interpersonal relationships are. People keep telling you you're not tough enough. So maybe there's an opportunity. When I hear tough enough, what I'm hearing is that maybe there's an opportunity to like have better boundaries and also communicate more clearly like what your needs are and what you're thinking. And sometimes when I hear that, sometimes I feel like people are afraid, like they have some type of fear, consciously or unconsciously, that they're going to be offend the other person or make the other person angry. And remember, if that is you, and no, that used to be me. So if that is you, know that like you get to have your feelings just as much as that person gets to have their feelings. So if you say something like, "Hey, that made me uncomfortable," and they get all offended, okay, let them get offended, and then you could finish what you're saying. And if they get so offended that like you can't get a word in edgewise or your experience is invalidated, you probably don't want to be around people like that. But you also, I was actually saying this at the beginning, when Peter was talking about how uncomfortable it felt to communicate something or say no to someone. It's like it's going to feel uncomfortable if you've been the person that's kind of a doormat and you don't always express what's on your mind or your needs or what you want, need, or deserve. It's going to feel uncomfortable first, and your nervous system is going to be like abandonment, like, or potential abandonment, even though it's not. So a red pill coach told me this. Oh Lord. Okay. Now that language makes a lot more sense. You're not tough enough. Red pill coaches are kind of stupid. Like, and I'm okay with, but if you're using words like not tough enough, do you see how I articulated that versus how the red pill coach said tough, like you're not tough enough? Like, what I'm hearing here, no more cap, is that there's an opportunity to just express, like, understand what your wants, needs, and desires are and be comfortable expressing them to other people. And then also knowing that if someone completely like cuts you off or like gets like has a very inflamed reaction in any way, that's on them. And you don't need those people in your life anyway. Like you don't. Like you want you to be around people that want the best for you, that want to support you and love you and see you win. And if they're not, then no. You gave me more of a 360 way of seeing it. Thanks. You're welcome. Yeah. And interpersonal relationships show us where like things we need to work on, whether it's interpersonal relationships at work or romantically or with friends. They show you things. It's like, oh, I'm having a hard time expressing myself. I used to be really bad at that. Like people thought I was autistic. And I'm like, and then I'm like, I'm just so scared to get like rejected or yelled at. This is just because I had unhealed stuff, right? So you will get better. No more cap. The fact that you're even asking it just shows that you're ready to create like a new neural pathway around that and like be able to express yourself in a much more clear, defined, probably confident way. So you're not operating from your amygdala fear-based, you're operating from like your prefrontal cortex where it's kind of like where the confidence really comes from. That's the decision maker. It's like we're doing it this way. And the fear and the inner critic just sit the fuck down. It's like, I don't need you right now. Okay. That inner critic is just trying to keep you safe, but you're not being chased by a bear in the forest. So we don't need that. Um, oh, the red pill coaches. That's so funny. Thank you for sharing that. No more cap. And I'm glad that made sense. Jojo. Hi, Jojo. I already went through that phase. It was not easy, but eventually I knew I was tough enough. Exactly. I made finally I finally made it thanks to Lauren Clayton. Helped me a lot. I use tools at my Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, I mean, I go live to share these tools with you and to like answer your questions and your comments in real time. And but that's what all my videos are for too, and that for as well. And that's I guess also why I've been focusing on like doing the shorts and like it's on TikTok and Instagram as well, but it's more organized on YouTube because I put them in different playlists. But it's like I want you to like look at my videos and be like, okay, here's like some tip I could get here. But I am going to start making more longer videos as well. But yeah, like I want you guys to have all these tools at your disposal. Even in my courses, like it's like a vault of all of these neurological reprogramming tools because sometimes this tool is going to work better. Sometimes like journaling or tapping or reframing in this way. There's so many of them, but they're all like changing your perspective and like creating new neural pathways. They're just doing it in different ways. And sometimes one will resonate with you more than the other. So you're so welcome. Thank you for saying that, Jojo. Appreciate you. Any other questions? I think I did go over everything. I keep looking at it just to make sure, but I've got everything. Peter says, "P.S. I'm a third of the way done with Letting Go." Yes, that's Letting Go by Dr. David R. Hawkins, a book I highly recommend. I keep rereading certain sections. Yes, I have known about that book forever, and I still reread or re-listen to it all the time. It's just so good. And then every time I do, I feel like it's almost like I'm reading it for the first time because I'm reading it from a different level of consciousness. So sometimes you'll read a chapter and you're like, wow, let me read that again. It's one of those books. So love it, highly recommend it. It's definitely one of the top 10 books. I'm so glad to hear that. You're doing great, Peter. You're doing really good. You're doing amazing. So, and that's what I mean. It's about doing the work, you know. I called Tim out on his, and he's not here because I called him out because like we don't want to stay in victimhood. We don't want to stay in the same place. You could complain and kick and scream and do all like a vent to me for sure. And then I'll be like, yeah, get that energy out. And then here's some tools to start, working on your like releasing all of that and working on your level up and your evolution. So good seeing you guys and hearing from you guys on this episode of Soothing Sundays. Let's put the intention out there to have a great week. I mentioned this before, but like go to bed tonight visualizing exactly whatever you want in your life, like you have it, and feeling into that, being grateful for that. And I'm saying you do it when you go to bed because your brain is in a theta state. So we're going to do that. And then wake up in the morning, your brain is still in a theta state. So say again, oh my God, I'm so glad that this is, even if, we're just being thankful for things we don't have yet so it could come into our life faster. And when your brain is in a theta state, like it kind of passes through like the logical part of the brain and gets right into the subconscious. So the logical part, which is good for a lot of things, but the logical part is like, hey, that's not true yet. It'll just automatically be like, oh, I'm already living that life. And you can bring it in faster. Okay, so we'll work on those things this week. And if you ask, or if you have any questions in the meantime, you could always DM me on Instagram or TikTok. But otherwise, I will see you guys on Thursday, April 2nd. Have a fantastic week, everyone. And Peter says, today is a gift. Make it count. Hell yeah, make it count. Being the best version of yourself. Yes. We're always, even the best version of yourself is like, you know what, I'm tired and I'm going to take care of myself and go to bed early. That's it, at any moment. It's not always like overperforming. It's just like, how can I take care of myself the best and show up for myself in the way I need to the best and my inner children. All right, you guys. Love you guys. I will see you Thursday, April the 2nd. Bye.